I've never seen Star Wars. Yes, I know. And I almost didn't even make this video because I was terrified that all the comments were just gonna be like, fake, there's no way you haven't seen Star Wars, loser, I hope you die. But it's true, I've never seen the Star Wars movies, and I want to, so I'm gonna watch it for the first time, but I thought it would be fun if before I watch A New Hope for the first time, I tried to predict what I think is going to happen in the movie. Because here's the thing about Star Wars, it might be, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, I don't think this is hyperbolic, I think it might be the most important thing to ever happen to pop culture, right? Or at least it's the most groundbreaking, the most known about property. Like, even though I've never seen Star Wars, I like my chances of predicting what this first movie's about. It is such a big deal in just our culture that just through osmosis of the cultural zeitgeist, I feel like I already know what Star Wars is about. So we're gonna put that to the test. I'm going to try to predict what I think happens in the first Star Wars movie. Then I'm gonna go watch the movie, then jump back in here, and we will see how close or far off I was from getting it right. So let's just jump right into it.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away,
Here they come.
Star Wars,
Coming in too fast.
an adventure unlike anything on your planet. It's an epic of heroes and villains and aliens from 1,000 worlds. Star Wars, rated PG.
All right, what do I think happens in the first Star Wars movie? I'm gonna start with the characters because I feel like that's kind of the easiest part. Everybody knows the Star Wars characters. I gave my wife a list of all of the characters that I could possibly think of. She printed out pictures, right? Like, obviously, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca. Those are, everybody knows those. Then we have the other iconic Star Wars characters. You have Darth Vader, you have Yoda, and you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, R2-D2 and C-3PO. Again, everybody knows this. Walk in the park. But then we have some characters that I feel like I know are definitely in Star Wars, but I'm not super certain if they're in this first movie. And that is Jabba the Hutt, Boba Fett, or the Mandalorian. I'm fairly certain that it's Boba Fett. I think maybe the Mandalorian is either a different character that's more modern. I'm a little conflicted about that because I remember seeing like a VFX breakdown where they took Mark Hamill, like old Mark Hamill, like current old Mark Hamill, and they made him look like he did in the first movie. And that was for, I believe, the Mandalorian show. So that made me think that maybe it's the same, like Boba Fett and the Mandalorian are the same character. They just go by different names or something like that. I don't know. And then I seen that interview clip where Samuel L. Jackson talks about how he got a purple lightsaber because he went to George Lucas and was like, I want a purple lightsaber. And he was like, I don't think we could do purple lightsabers. And then he ended up with the purple lightsaber. So I'm like fairly certain he's involved, considering there's a picture of him here with the purple lightsaber, but I don't know if it's this movie. Hey Siri, how old is Samuel L. Jackson? He's 77 years old. Samuel L. Jackson is 77 years old. Hey Siri, how old is Mark Hamill? Is 74. So timeline wise, Samuel L. Jackson is definitely old enough to have been in this first movie. The issue is I don't remember Samuel L. Jackson being in any movie before Pulp Fiction. Now that could just be the lack of my knowledge, or it could be the fact that he was an actor later in life. Because I also can't imagine a young Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he looks pretty young here. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. So I think what I'm going to do when I try to predict the plot here in a moment is, since I'm not sure if Samuel L. Jackson and Boba Fett are in, which one of them is in the movie, I will kind of combine them as one character. And I know that might be cheating, but if it is one or the other, I think I get partial credit. And then our bad guys are Darth Vader. I'm pretty sure Jabba the Hutt is a bad guy. And then I feel like there's another Darth character, like a Darth is another bad guy. He's another like Sith Lord. I think he has electrical powers, but I don't know if that's this movie, so I didn't include that. My thought process is maybe when Darth Vader dies, because I know there's the 3 original, then there's the 3 prequels, and then there's the modern movies, which I think was also a trilogy. So my thought process is maybe the other Darth guy is the prequel movies with the electrical powers. Our main character, of course, is going to be Luke Skywalker, and I'm pretty sure that this is a hero's journey story structure, right? So all the classic Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Spider-Man can be considered a hero's journey character. If you don't know what the hero's journey is, you probably learned about it in English class. It's by Joseph Campbell. It starts off in their world, and then they get a call to adventure, and they deny it at first, but then something happens, and they go on this adventure, and there's a whole bunch of little things, and at the end, they return back home as a whole new person, having changed by this journey. And there's typically a lot of chosen one energy, right? So Luke Skywalker would be our chosen one. And almost always with the chosen one character, there's like a tragedy in their family to start off the story. And so my prediction is Luke Skywalker is living with his mom. She's a single mom because he doesn't know who his dad is. We know who his dad is. So I'm thinking maybe Darth Vader shows up on his planet, kills his mom. That's what kickstarts Luke's journey. Luke is devastated. He's furious. So he reaches out to a wise old mentor, because in the hero's journey, there's always a wise old mentor that lives on his planet. Now, I'm assuming that that's Yoda. So he goes to Yoda. He says, Darth Vader killed my mother. I need you to hunt him down and kill him. And Yoda is like, actually, there's a prophecy, because there's always a prophecy in the chosen one hero's journey type thing. And so Yoda tells Luke in his funny Yoda voice, where he's like, I cannot kill Darth Vader. You have to kill Darth Vader. And I'm imagining the prophecy is very much like, you are the only person who can kill Darth Vader, can defeat Darth Vader, right? And my logic with this, I'm sure a lot of people are just gonna be like, isn't that just Harry Potter? And it's like, yeah, but they're all kind of, when it comes to the hero's journey, it's all kind of similar. Even the story of Jesus is kind of a hero's journey. So it's like, in my head, I already know Luke's dad is Darth Vader. So it's the kind of thing where it's like Greek tragedy, where it's like the only person that can kill the father is the son, but Luke doesn't know that his dad is Darth Vader yet. So Yoda's being kind of weird about it. So Yoda's like, you're the only one that can defeat Darth Vader. Luke's like, I'm not a Jedi. I can't do it. And Yoda's like, sorry, big dog. It's the prophecy. You have to do it. And then Yoda's like, but I can point you in the right direction. You can go to this like shipyard, and there's a pilot named Han Solo who can take you on this journey to find Darth Vader. So far, I think we're on the right path. The chosen one always needs some friends that go on this mission with him. And so I'm assuming that Han Solo and Chewbacca, because you always hear them together, they're like the pilot and co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon. They're going to be like his buddies that goes on this mission with him. And there's probably like a whole thing where it's like Han is only in it for the money or whatever, but then Chewbacca and Luke are like really good friends. They bond. Maybe I'm just thinking too much like Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's kind of inspired by Star Wars, right? So I'm very much imagining like a Groot situation. And then, of course, the hero in the hero's journey always needs a love interest. Now, the only female character that I know of from Star Wars is Princess Leia. But I also know that Luke and Leia are siblings, right? They're both the children of Darth Vader. I know that. So since she can't be his love interest, then that means that there's another female character that I just don't know about that we need to account for. So here I drew this. This is our female love interest for Luke. I have a little theory. This is a bit out there. My prediction is maybe she is actually like a general or like a higher up for Darth Vader. She's actually one of the bad guys. And then throughout the course of the story or whatever, because Darth Vader treats her so poorly, she actually falls in love with Luke and helps Luke defeat Darth Vader in the end or something. Which leads me to my next prediction, which is I know that R2-D2 is Luke's buddy. Like that's his droid. However, with C-3PO, I think maybe C-3PO actually works with Darth Vader. And then it could be a similar situation as the love interest character, where even though C-3PO works with Darth Vader or for Darth Vader always mistreats him, and he ends up going with R2-D2 and Luke onto the good side. Because I do know, like, I feel like I think these two interact a lot. And so it would be a fun thing where it's like R2-D2 convinces C-3PO to come to the good side. And C-3PO is like, that's not logical. That's not even Star Wars. That's Star Trek. I have seen Star Trek. I've watched the first 2 seasons of the original series. I'm a big fan. I do like it. So just like I said, where the chosen one, the main character usually has one or two buddies with them. The bad guy usually has one or two friends or cohorts, and that could be C-3PO and the love interest, like this badass general lady. So Luke meets up with Han Solo and Chewbacca. The three of them blast off into the galaxy on the pursuit of finding and killing Darth Vader. Now, obviously, there's going to be some obstacles on their journey. I'm going to stick with the rule of three here. They have to overcome three major obstacles. I don't know if that's accurate, but I feel like it's a good start. The first obstacle is, I would think, Jabba the Hutt. If I remember correctly from references in old TV shows, Jabba the Hutt is a bad guy, and he keeps Princess Leia as a prisoner. Because in TV shows, for a while there, it felt like there was a bunch of stuff where it was like the guy character on the sitcom wants his girlfriend to dress up like Princess Leia, and she's wearing like a gold bikini or something. So, since we know that Princess Leia is a part of this story and that she was kept prisoner by Jabba the Hutt, maybe the first person they run into is Jabba the Hutt. They have to defeat him, and in the process, they save Princess Leia, who has been captured. And then I'm imagining after they save Princess Leia, there could be a moment on the ship, on the Millennium Falcon, where she's like, why are you going after Darth Vader? He's the fiercest Sith in the galaxy. And Luke's like, I have to. He killed my mother, Sabrina. I made up the name Sabrina. I don't know the name of Luke's mom. And Leia is like, what? My mom's name was Sabrina too. Again, I made up the name Sabrina. But we got separated when I was a baby. I've always wondered where she was. And then, this is where they find out they have the same mom. And then he has to like do this heartbreaking thing where he's like, oh, my mom is your mom. It's the same Sabrina. And she's like, my mom, I'll finally be able to see my mom again. And he has to go, well, no, Darth Vader killed her like 20 minutes ago. I bet the people in the 70s, when they saw that scene that I completely just made up, I bet they were bawling. And not bawling like Curry, like Bawlin, ballin'. The second obstacle, I imagine, is some sort of spaceship shootout. Maybe that is where we meet the character of either Boba Fett or Samuel L. Jackson. Maybe they get into like a crazy shootout with a Sith battleship, and in the process, they meet another ship, and that's piloted by either Samuel L. Jackson's character or Boba Fett. Because I do have two theories. One, I feel like I've definitely heard that Boba Fett is like an anti-hero type of thing. And then I don't know if that's the case with Samuel L. Jackson's character, but the fact that he has a purple lightsaber does lead me to believe that he could be an anti-hero, because it's like green lightsabers are for the good guys, red lightsabers are for the bad guys. Why does he have a purple one? That feels like it's the kind of thing that's like, well, we don't know if we can trust him or not. And then, this motherfucker has a gun, and a missile. So yeah, our main characters, they get into a big shootout thing in space. They end up getting saved at the last second by this other wild ship that runs in. That's where we meet our anti-hero character. And when it comes to like anti-hero characters that you don't know if you can trust or not, I bet at the end of the movie, it's this kind of thing where we get a badass moment where we're not sure if Luke can actually trust the anti-hero character. And then they manage at the last second to redeem themselves and show them, Luke, you can trust me. And they help take down Darth Vader. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's like, what? No, you've been working with Darth Vader the whole time? And they're like, nope. And then they help take down Darth Vader. I feel like that's the kind of thing that would happen. Back to the obstacles. Obstacle 3 is probably like the big climactic fight that happens on Darth Vader's ship, which, if I remember correctly, it's the Death Star. And it's giant. I've seen that clip in memes where one of them's like, is that a moon? And they're like, that's no moon because it's such a big ship. They have to infiltrate the ship to try to go after Darth Vader. At some point, it all goes to hell. Maybe they get captured and they're in the prisons in the ship. That's probably where Luke first meets the love interest character, Darth Vader's general, or just maybe someone that works on the ship. We get a bunch of shenanigans of our main characters trying to escape. It doesn't work, but then they get help from the love interest, or maybe they get help from C-3PO. They manage to escape. They've got to come up with a big plan that leads to our big final fight. I imagine like Han Solo and Chewbacca are in some shootout with stormtroopers. R2-D2 and C-3PO, they're like plugging into the control panels because they're robots or droids. So they're like trying to figure out a way to blow up the ship. Then Luke has to go off by himself with the anti-hero character, whichever one it may be, and the love interest. So two characters that we're not sure if Luke can trust, but Luke wants to trust because Luke is pure of heart. He's a Jedi. So they confront Darth Vader. That's when the anti-hero character turns on Luke, and maybe Darth Vader's even like,
"You fool. You thought he was on your side? I paid him 1 million Starbucks."
Get it? Starbucks? I don't think that's what it's actually going to be called, but it would be really funny if the brand Starbucks was from Star Wars. Stuff like that happens. Bubba Gump Shrimp from Forrest Gump. But yeah, there's no way that's what it's actually called. That's just a little joke. But then Luke's love interest is like, Boba Fett, you bastard. I knew I couldn't trust you. I'm really beginning to regret this whole Samuel L. Jackson Boba Fett thing. The more that I get into what I think this movie's going to be about, the less sense it makes for Samuel L. Jackson. Maybe Boba Fett is. I can't even tell you what Samuel L. Jackson's character's name is. That's what gives me pause. Like, it's probably something like, his last name's probably like Lavender because of the purple lightsaber. So it's probably like Rex Lavender or something badass. But I really regret even putting him on the board. Pulp Fiction came out in like 97 or something like that. Samuel L. Jackson wasn't in the movie. I think I've made a fool of myself by having him on the board. But anyway, Darth Vader, he like uses the Force choke on the love interest character. And he's like, Rex Lavender, Samuel L. Jackson. What if his name was just Samuel L. Jackson in the movie? But he's like, Rex Lavender, kill Luke. And then, purple lightsaber. He goes to hit Luke, but then nope. He tosses the lightsaber to Luke. Luke catches the purple lightsaber, turns bright green because Luke is a Jedi. Luke starts fucking up Darth Vader. And then, if Samuel L. Jackson isn't in this movie, then it could be like Boba Fett. And then maybe Luke just already had his own lightsaber. Then we hear the intercom of the ship, right? And it's like self-destruct in 5 minutes. Luke's love interest is like, Luke, we've got to get out of here. They got to the panel. This place is going to self-destruct. We need to leave. But Luke is still fighting Darth Vader. And he's like, you go. I'll meet up with you at the Millennium Falcon. And then the anti-hero character is like, Luke, don't be stupid. You need to get out of here. But Luke is like, no, this is the guy who killed my mom. And then in this kind of moment of hesitation where Luke is like, should I go? Should I stay here and finish what I started? The prophecy said I'm the only one that can do this. And then Darth Vader grabs Luke's love interest, kills her. And then Luke's like, no! Here's why I think Luke's love interest dies in this movie. Because I've never heard of another female character other than Princess Leia. So that means that this character must not be very important to the rest of the series. So therefore they would die in the first movie. And that further motivates Luke to want to go after Darth Vader. So she dies, Luke goes sicko mode. Now he's really fighting Darth Vader. He's gonna kill this guy. He cuts up Vader pretty bad, knocks him to the ground, raises his lightsaber. Game over. He's going to kill Darth Vader. And this is where we get the most iconic moment in all of Star Wars. The helmet comes off and he goes, Luke, I am your father. That's like the easiest thing to predict in this whole thing. It's the most iconic thing that's ever happened in Star Wars. So because it's his dad, he hesitates. He can't kill him. He's conflicted emotionally, so he just takes off running back to the ship, leaving his father, Darth Vader, to be blown up with the Death Star. They get in the ship, they get away just as the Death Star explodes. Maybe Han Solo makes a joke like, well, hey, at least Darth Vader's gone for good. That sets up him not actually being dead, because I'm fairly certain Darth Vader does not die in the first movie. I don't know, guys. I feel like I got pretty close. I think if I'm off, it's because of the anti-hero thing. And then I'm still conflicted about Yoda not being more involved in the movie. Oh, shit. I forgot Obi-Wan Kenobi. I got a bit carried away. Obi-Wan, okay. Let me rearrange some things. Okay, in this picture, and I guess it's kind of cheating because I have a picture of him. In this picture, he does kind of seem more like a wise old mentor, like a Dumbledore or Gandalf. Maybe where Darth Vader is going, like Darth Vader's mission before it gets interrupted by Luke and the gang, he's going to hunt down Yoda to kill him because he's the last Jedi, which is one of the titles of the movies, not this movie. This one's A New Hope, but there is one called The Last Jedi. So maybe Vader has been trying to hunt down Yoda for years to kill the final Jedi, which means that Obi-Wan is the wise mentor character to Luke. And you know what? It is Obi-Wan Kenobi who gives Luke his lightsaber, because there's those memes of Cerveza Crystal, where in the, like, when the movie played in a different country on TV, they edited together a beer commercial into the movie. And I've seen the clip where where Obi-Wan reaches down to give Luke his lightsaber, and then it turns into him grabbing a beer, which is awesome, by the way. So yeah, I think that fixes the issue. So then Obi-Wan is the mentor character at the beginning. Yoda shows up at the end because that's where they end up meeting up with Darth Vader, because Darth Vader's trying to find Yoda. So then there could be like a whole thing where Yoda is like, is it Yoda that tells Luke, like, use the Force, Luke? Or is that Obi-Wan? That does happen, I'm fairly certain. So yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yoda shows up at the end, and maybe Yoda dies. Is that crazy? Is that crazy to think Yoda dies? Because they turn into Force ghosts. That's a whole thing. But I don't know if that's a prequel thing or if that's in the originals. Okay, anything else that I'm forgetting? Leia and Han Solo, I'm pretty sure, will kiss in this movie, because in the new Star Wars movies, Adam Driver's character is their son. I'm fairly certain. So that means Han Solo and Leia are love interests in this movie. Oh, and then the movie will start with the iconic Star Wars text scroll. That's a free space. I know that's going to happen. So yeah, and then there'll be some scenes where Darth Vader's just like doing some evil stuff, force choking people, kind of spread throughout. Yeah, I think I did pretty good. Will it be hilarious if I go watch this movie and it's completely different than anything I ever expected? Yes, that would be very funny. But realistically, I think using the hero's journey and everything that I know just from pop culture, I think we got at least close. I feel like I'm close, but there's only one way to find out, and that is by going to watch Star Wars: A New Hope. So I'm gonna go do that, and I'll jump right back in here, and we will find out if I'm a genius or if I failed miserably. I don't think I failed miserably. I think I got close.
Lo que me recuerda. Tengo algo para ti.
Cerveza Cristal.
Okay, I got a bunch of stuff wrong. But you know what? I was pretty close with the story structure. Like, plot-wise, I was close. But first, before we get into things that I kind of got right, let's talk about everything that I got wrong. Starting with the fact, Yoda's not even in this goddamn movie. What is up with that? Yoda is like the Star Wars character. That's insane to me. Also, did y'all know the lightsabers were blue, not green? I think I'm fucking crazy, dude. I don't know if it's a Mandela effect or maybe it's just something that they change in the different movies. But I could have swore the whole thing was Jedis were green, Siths were red. But both Luke's lightsaber and Obi-Wan's lightsaber, both blue. Samuel L. Jackson, not in this movie. I feel like I kind of saw that coming. I think it spared me too much embarrassment because I figured it out as I was trying to predict that it just didn't make much sense. What is interesting, though, is Boba Fett is in the movie, but only in like a single shot cameo. Like when Han Solo is talking to Jabba the Hutt, who also, I was right, was in this movie. This guy Boba Fett just walks by. Like, he just like walks across the screen. So he doesn't really have a major role in this movie either, which I guess makes sense in hindsight. I think I would have been a lot more accurate if I had toned it back on the characters that I thought were in the show. Like Samuel L. Jackson, I should have known better. Boba Fett is in the movie, but not a major part of the movie. There is no Luke love interest in this movie. I made this character up for no reason. I know that Luke and Leia are siblings, but in the movie, it seems like maybe they kind of tease at first, like Luke and Leia could be the love interest. You know, they're trying to like be like, oh, Luke and Leia are love interest. So that way they can really hit you with the big reveal later when it's like, actually, they're siblings. It's like, what? But we shipped them. Was shipping culture a thing back then? Oh shit, speaking of them being siblings, the Luke I am your father thing doesn't happen in this movie either. I guess it happens in one of the other movies. That's insane to me. Because when people say Star Wars, the first thing that anyone does is Luke, I am your father. That's crazy to me. That shocked me more than Yoda not being in this movie. Another thing that I was shocked to learn is that Darth Vader does not seem to be in charge of the Empire. Like, there's like, I don't know if this guy's like a general character. He was the skinny dude, but he's like giving Darth Vader orders. Darth Vader seems like he's just some sort of soldier in this war. I assumed Darth Vader was like the big bad guy. Like he was the one in charge of everything. Also, everybody in this movie talks about the Force and Jedis like it's some ancient religion that no one believes in. They're like, oh, that's not real. I really thought that was the whole thing. Like the world operated on like the Force and the Jedis and the Sith. But at this point in the story, I'm assuming I'm getting it really confused with the knowledge from the prequels, right? Because from what I learned watching the movie, the prequels will probably be talking about Darth Vader when he's young and with Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Because there's Anakin Skywalker, who is, of course, Darth Vader. So I imagine maybe those movies when the Jedis and everything, because there's not many Jedis left in this movie. Why am I telling you like you don't know? Like the whole thing is like the Jedis had like died out and there's like a dead religion. Like no one even believes in that anymore. So I bet the prequels are like when it's like at its height. So yeah, I got a ton wrong right out of the gate. I will say I did get a few elements correct. I did know that it was going to start off as a tragedy for Luke. However, it wasn't his mom who's killed. It's his aunt and uncle. I was also kind of right about Jabba the Hutt being the first obstacle that the gang has to get through. They don't end up fighting Jabba the Hutt, and he did not have Leia captured. Leia was actually captured on the Death Star by Darth Vader. So I guess that's something that happens in a different movie as well. But yeah, Jabba the Hutt has like an interaction with Han Solo, but they actually seem like buddies. I mean, he does try to get him killed, which I'll probably talk about more in a second. Another thing, I was right about them getting into like spaceship fights, like, you know, with shooting some lasers in the space. And I was right about them going on the Death Star to try to destroy it. The only thing is I was a little bit off because they were trying to go on the Death Star. Well, they weren't trying to go on the Death Star. They got sucked into the Death Star, which the whole thing, my whole idea was that Luke was hunting down Darth Vader. That's not the case. The whole plot is driven by the fact that Leia had given R2-D2 some plans that would help the rebels destroy the Death Star. So that was kind of a key difference. I also did not predict the ending where Luke has to like dude perfect a trick shot into the side of the Death Star to blow the whole thing up. That was sick. And in hindsight, after I watched it, I was like, oh, wait, no, I think I knew about this. There was a scene where our group of main characters have to deal with a freaky garbage water alien, and then the walls try to compact on them. That was sick. I didn't see that coming. And there was a one-on-one fight scene between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader where Obi-Wan just lets himself get murdered by Darth Vader in front of Luke. Traumatized that poor boy. But I guess it was about like sacrificing himself to make a message or something. I still don't quite get why he did that. If I knew that Yoda was not in this movie, I think I would have gotten some more stuff accurate with the wise mentor character. Another thing that I realized from this movie is they talk about the Clone Wars. And I remember the Cartoon Network Clone Wars show when I was a kid. I didn't realize that was like canon to the universe, but we find out Obi-Wan fought in the Clone Wars, so I guess it's all a part of the same thing. I have a question for you guys that are experts. I don't know if it's just the version that I was watching on Disney Plus, because I could tell it had been updated. There was a bunch of like CG characters that they just like put into scenes that you could tell like after the fact. But one thing I did not see coming, the whole first 30 minutes of this movie are just about R2-D2 and C-3PO. I did not see that coming. I'm not complaining, because these two are awesome, very funny. I just didn't expect the whole first 30 minutes to just be like them. I mean, we don't even meet Luke until like minute 20. The call to adventure doesn't happen until minute 40. So I don't know if maybe I'm just watching an extended version or I just like really underestimated the way that Star Wars. I think I had it in my head that Star Wars was like a 90-minute movie. The movie I watched on Disney Plus was like 2 hours and some change. Going back to when I said that Jabba the Hutt tried to have Han Solo killed, I remembered something else that I already knew about while watching the movie, and that's the whole Han shot first thing. I'm pretty sure the lore is that originally Han Solo just shoots that Greedo dude first, and then they re-edited it after the fact so that Han Solo shoots second so that it looks like it's in self-defense. But here's the thing, dude. I don't even think it fucking matters if he just straight up shot him down, because it was very apparent that the dude he was talking to was going to kill him, right? Because the whole time, the whole scene, we see Han reaching down and pulling out his gun because he's like, oh, I think this dude's about to try to kill me. And then what's the point of like waiting until the other person it's so fast, by the way. Why am I talking about this? I don't mean to rehash stuff that's been talked about for 40 years, but I'm just now seeing it. I'm late to the party, but I still want to take a swing at the piñata. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand why the Han shot first thing is a big debate, because it's like, what's the point of that? He could just shoot him. I would have been okay about it. I would have felt okay about it. Something I really enjoyed about the movie is, and I guess this could be annoying to some people, but I thought it was very endearing. Several characters call Princess Leia Princess Leia. And it's because when they were making this movie, they had no idea that Princess Leia was going to become a household name. They're just doing another movie. And at times, it's like a sci-fi movie. At times, it kind of looked like a B movie. So it's like they probably just thought that this was some shitty movie. Little do they know it would become the most iconic piece of pop culture ever. Actors just like, yeah, Princess Leia. I think that makes it a more enjoyable experience for me, because you can definitely tell in this movie they've gone after the fact and made a bunch of changes to it, like the Han shot first thing. So it's like they could have dubbed those lines where they say Princess Leia, but they kept it in. And I find that admirable. I liked the movie. I don't know if you guys care about how I feel about it, but I really liked it. After my whole life of being like, yeah, it's not really my thing, I'm proud to say that as a 26-year-old man, I do like it, and I'm excited to watch more of it. Like, I want to know how Samuel L. Jackson plays into things. I want to know why Yoda's not in the first movie, but yet such an iconic Star Wars character. And between you and I, one of the big reasons I wanted to watch Star Wars now, and I was like, well, I'll make a video for it, is because I want to watch all the current Star Wars shows that everybody's always talking about. People always talking about how great Andor is. So I was like, well, I can't just jump in with that. Or like The Mandalorian, right? Which I still don't know if is the same thing as Boba Fett or not. And there's a movie with Donald Glover in it. I don't know. I want to be a part of Star Wars. For a long time, I acted like I was better than Star Wars. And I was like, it's not for me, man. You can have Star Wars. I'll go watch Indiana Jones where the real playboys are. That is true, though. I love Indiana Jones. So yeah, I liked it. I was very wrong. I'm blown away, truly blown away, that all of the iconic pop culture moments from Star Wars that I thought was going to make this an easy video was not even in this movie. Yoda, Luke, I am your father, all that stuff. I think that might have just also been a me error, because whenever I hear someone say, oh yeah, that's from Star Wars, I feel like they mean the first movie. Because you always hear people be like, oh yeah, from Star Wars, Yoda from Star Wars. The first movie is called Star Wars A New Hope. But I guess I just was like, okay, Star Wars means the first movie. The Last Jedi means that movie. You know what I mean? It just goes to show you that just because you think you know about something because of discussions about it or just osmosis from cultural references, if you don't sit down and actually watch it, actually educate yourself on the important stuff like Star Wars, then you don't actually know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I still haven't decided if I'm going to put it out because I don't want to deal with hate comments. I've heard the Star Wars fans, they can be mean, but I had a blast making it. I had fun making a fool of myself for all of you Star Wars super fans. All right, dope.